Krishna. Welcome all of you for today's reading session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Today is a very special day, Sri Vaikuntha Ekadashi. It is a very important festival which demonstrates the Lord's eagerness to receive his devotees to his personal abode, Vaikuntha Loka, which is our original home. And on this day, the Lord personally comes to the doorstep of Vaikuntha to receive his great devotee, Nammalvar. So, to commemorate this, we are having this special Vaikuntha Ekadashi festival. I hope you all had nice darshan of the Lord in the temple and also passed through the Vaikuntha Dwara in our temple. So, let us pray to Lord Srinivasa Govinda to always keep us engaged in his devotional service. Now, let us read from Teachings of Lord Chaitanya by His Divine Grace, Vishwaguru Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Chapter 22, entitled The Srimad Bhagavatam. Please hear attentively. At the end of this session, we shall be having an interesting quiz. The Srimad Bhagavatam. After the conversion of the Mayavadi sannyasis to the path of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many scholars and inquisitive people visited the Lord at Banaras. Since it was not possible for everyone to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at his residence, but people used to stand in line to see him as he passed on his way to the temple of Vishwanatha and Bindu Madhava. One day, when the Lord visited the temple with his associates, Chandrasekhara Acharya, Paramananda, Tapan Mishra, Sanatana Goswami, and others, he was singing Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Rama Sri Madhusudana. When the Lord sang in this way, chanting and dancing, thousands of people gathered around him, and when the Lord chanted, they roared. The vibration was so tumultuous that Prakashananda Saraswati, who was sitting nearby, immediately joined the crowd with his disciples. As soon as he saw the beautiful body of Lord Chaitanya and the Lord dancing with his associates, Prakashananda Saraswati also joined and began to sing Hari Hari. All the inhabitants of Banaras were struck with wonder upon seeing the ecstatic dancing of Lord Chaitanya. However, Lord Chaitanya checked his continuous ecstasy and stopped dancing when he saw the Mayavadi sannyasis. As soon as the Lord stopped chanting and dancing, Prakashananda Saraswati fell at his feet. Trying to stop him, Lord Chaitanya said, "Oh, you are the spiritual master of the whole world, Jagat Guru, and I am not even equal to your disciples. You should therefore not worship an inferior like me. You are exactly like the Supreme Brahman, and if I allow you to fall down at my feet, I will commit a very great offense. Although you have no vision of duality, for the sake of teaching the people in general, you should not do this. Previously, I spoke ill of you many times, Prakashananda Saraswati replied. Now in order to free myself from the results of my offense, I fall down at your feet. He then quoted a verse from Vedic literatures which states that when even a liberated soul commits an offense against the Supreme Lord, he again becomes a victim of material contamination. Prakashananda Saraswati then quoted another verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 34, verse 9, regarding Nanda Maharajas being attacked by a serpent who was previously Vidyadhararchita. Vidyadhararchita. When the serpent was touched by the lotus feet of Krishna, he regained his previous body and was freed from the reactions of his sinful activities. When Lord Chaitanya thus guided his equated with Krishna, he mildly protested. He wanted to warn people in general not to compare the Supreme Lord with any living entity. And although he was the Supreme Lord himself, he protested against this comparison in order to teach us. Thus, he said that it is the greatest offense to compare anyone with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Lord Chaitanya always maintained that Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is great and the living entities, however great they may be, are but infinitesimal. In this connection, he quoted a verse from Padma Purana, which is found in the Vaishnava Tantra, Hari Bhakti Vilasa 1.73. A person who compares the Supreme Lord even with the greatest of demigods, like Brahma and Shiva, must be considered a number one atheist. I can understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Prakashananda Saraswati continued. And even though you present yourself as a devotee, you are still worshipable because you are greater than all of us in education and realization. Therefore, by blaspheming you, we have committed the greatest offense. Please excuse us. The devotee is the greatest of all transcendentalists is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 14, verse 5. Muktanamapi siddhanam narayana parayanah sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune. There are many liberated souls and perfected souls, but out of all of them, he who is a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is blessed. The devotees of the Supreme Lord are always calm and quiet, and their perfection is very rarely seen, even in millions of persons. Prakashananda also quoted another verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 4, verse 46, in which it is stated that one's duration of life, prosperity, fame, religion, and the benediction of higher authorities are all lost when one offends a devotee. Prakashananda also quoted another verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, verse 32, which said that all the misgivings of the conditioned soul disappear at the touch of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, one cannot touch the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord unless one receives the benediction of the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord's pure devotee. In other words, one cannot become a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead unless he is favored by another pure devotee of the Lord. Now I am taking shelter of your lotus feet, Prakashananda Saraswati said, for I want to be elevated to the position of a devotee of the Supreme Lord. After talking in this way, both Prakashananda Saraswati and Lord Chaitanya sat together. Whatever you have said concerning discrepancies in the Mayavadi philosophy is also known by us, Prakashananda said. Indeed, we know that all the commentaries on Vedic scriptures by Mayavadi philosophers are erroneous, especially those of Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya's interpretations of Vedanta Sutra are all figments of his imagination. You have not explained the codes of the Vedanta Sutra and Upanishads according to your own imagination, but have presented them as they are. Thus, we are all pleased to have heard your explanation. Such explanations of the codes of Vedanta Sutra and the Upanishads cannot be given by anyone but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since you have all the potencies of the Supreme Lord, please explain the Vedanta Sutra further so that I may be benefited. Lord Chaitanya protested against being called the Supreme Lord, and he said, my dear sir, I am an ordinary living entity. I cannot know the real meaning of Vedanta Sutra, but Vyasadeva, who is an incarnation of Narayana, knows its real meaning. No ordinary living entity can interpret Vedanta Sutra according to his mundane conceptions. In order to curb commentaries on Vedanta Sutra by unscrupulous persons, the author himself, Vyasadeva, has already commented upon the Vedanta Sutra by writing Srimad bhagavatham. In other words, the best explanation of a book is written by the author himself. No one can understand the author's mind unless the author himself discloses the purpose behind his writing. Therefore, Vedanta Sutra should be understood through Srimad Bhagavatam, the commentary written by the author of Vedanta Sutra. Pranava or Omkara is the divine substance of all the Vedas. Omkara is further explained in the Gayatri Mantra exactly as it was explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. There are four verses written in this connection, and these are explained to Brahma by Lord Krishna himself. In his turn, Brahma explains them to Narada, and Narada explains them to Vyasadeva. In this way, the purport of the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam come down through disciplic succession. It is not that anyone and everyone can make his own foolish commentaries on Vedanta Sutra and mislead readers. Anyone who wants to understand Vedanta Sutra must read Srimad Bhagavatam carefully. Under the instructions of Narad Muni, Vyasadeva compiled Srimad Bhagavatam with the purpose of explaining the Vedanta Sutra. In writing Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva collected all the essence of the Upanishads, the purpose of which was also explained in Vedanta Sutra. Srimad Bhagavatam is thus the essence of all Vedic knowledge. That which is stated in the Upanishads and restated in Vedanta Sutra is explained very nicely in Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a passage in Ishopanishad similar to a verse found in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 1, verse 10, which states that whatever one sees in the cosmic manifestation is but the Supreme Lord's energy and is not different from Him. Consequently, He is the controller, friend, and maintainer of all living entities. We should live by the mercy of God and take only those things which are allotted to us. In this way, by not encroaching on another's property, one can enjoy life. In other words, the purpose of the Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra, and Srimad Bhagavatam is one and the same. If one studies Srimad Bhagavatam carefully, one will find that all the Upanishads and the Vedanta Sutra are nicely explained therein. Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us how to re-establish our eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, how to act in that relationship, and lastly, how to achieve the highest benefit from it. The four verses beginning with Aham Eva are the gist of the whole Bhagavatam. These are: I am the supreme center for the relationships of all living entities, and my knowledge is the supreme knowledge. That process by which I can be attained by the living entity is called Abhidheya. By it, one can attain the highest perfection of life, love of Godhead. When one attains love of Godhead, his life becomes perfect. The explanation of these four verses is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, and Lord Chaitanya gave a short description of the principles of these verses. He said that no one can understand the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord, his situation, his transcendental qualities, his transcendental activities, and his six opulences. These cannot be understood by mental speculation or academic education. They can only be understood by the mercy of the Lord. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, one who is fortunate enough to receive the Lord's favor can understand all these explanations by the mercy of the Lord. The Lord existed before the material creation, therefore, the material ingredients, nature, and the living entities all emanated from Him, and after dissolution, they rest in Him. When the creation is manifest, it is maintained by Him. Indeed, whatever manifestation we see is but a transformation of His external energy. When the Supreme Lord withdraws His external energy, everything enters into Him. In the first of the four verses, the word Aham is given three times in order to stress that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is full with all opulences. Aham is stated three times just to chastise one who cannot understand or believe in the transcendental nature and form of the Supreme Lord. The Lord possesses his internal energy, his external energy, marginal and relative energies, the manifestation of the cosmic world and the living entities. The external energy is manifested by the qualitative modes or gunas of material nature. One who can understand the nature of the living entity in the spiritual world can actually understand Vedyam or perfect knowledge. One cannot understand the Supreme Lord simply by seeing the material energy and the conditioned soul, but when one is in perfect knowledge, he is freed from the influence of the external energy. The moon reflects the light of the sun, and without the sun, the moon cannot illuminate anything. Similarly, this material cosmic manifestation is but the reflection of the spiritual world. When one is actually liberated from the spell of the external energy, he can understand the constitutional nature of the Supreme Lord. Devotional service to the Lord is the only means by which the Lord can be attained, and this devotional service can be accepted by everyone and anyone in any country and under any circumstance. Devotional service is above the three principles of religion and the understanding derived from liberation. Even the preliminaries of devotional service are transcendental to the highest understanding derived from liberation and the understanding derived from ordinary religion. One should therefore approach a bona fide spiritual master irrespective of caste, creed, color, country, etc., and hear from him everything about devotional service. The real purpose of life is to revive our dormant love of God. Indeed, that is our ultimate necessity. How that love of God can be attained is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. There is theoretical knowledge and specific or realized knowledge, and perfect realized knowledge is attained when one realizes the teachings received from the spiritual master. Thus ends chapter 22 of Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, entitled the Srimad Bhagavatam. So you have heard this chapter, a wonderful chapter about the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam, and all these were spoken by Lord Chaitanya himself to the greatest Mayavadi scholar, Prakashananda Saraswati at Banaras. So this chapter emphasizes the point that Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutras, and whatever gist or essence is explained in the Upanishads and the Vedanta Sutras, that is elaborately explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is why Srimad Bhagavatam is called Nigama Kalpa Taror Galitam Phalam. It is the most ripened fruit in the tree of Vedic wisdom. So now we shall have quiz based on this chapter. Let us see how much we are able to remember and recollect what we have heard so far. Here's your first question. Where did Lord Chaitanya go with his associates when many people gathered to see him? In Banaras, which two
Bis,
temples he went?
Bindu Madhava and Kashinath, Vishwanath.
Yes. So Kashi Vishwanatha and Bindu Madhava, these are the two temples on the banks of river Ganga to which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited. Very good. Okay, the next question. What was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doing that attracted thousands of people?
Sankirtana, Prabhu.
Yeah, he was chanting and dancing, performing Harinam Sankirtan. Correct. Next question. What did Lord Chaitanya do when he saw the Mayavadi sannyasis? The answer is he stopped chanting and dancing. He stopped his Sankirtan for some time. Okay. Next question. Lord Chaitanya explained that comparing any living entity with the Supreme Lord is dash.
Very offensive.
Complete the sentence.
And
Ye- Yes, Shashiram, you had something to say?
it is an offense.
Yeah, correct. The answer is comparing any living entity with the Supreme Lord is the greatest offense. Okay. Which scripture did Prakashananda Saraswati quote to warn about offending the Supreme Lord? I'll give you options. Bhagavad Gita, Padma Purana, Vedanta Sutra, Upanishads.
Upanishad, Prabhu.
No, the answer is Padma Purana. So Prakashananda Saraswati quoted a verse from Padma Purana which says that if one equates even the greatest of devatas like Brahma or Shiva to the Supreme Lord Vishnu, such a person performs the greatest offense, and he is actually the greatest atheist. So it is Padma Purana. Okay, the next question. According to this chapter, who is rare even among millions of liberated souls?
Devotee of Krishna.
Which devotee?
Pure devotee.
Yes, pure devotee of Krishna, pure devotee of the Lord is very rare even among millions of liberated souls. Next question. Lord Chaitanya said that the Vedanta Sutra should be understood through what?
Spiritual master.
Through the spiritual master, that is okay. But through what one should understand the Vedanta Sutra?
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes, Srimad Bhagavatam is the right answer because Srimad Bhagavatam is called the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Natural means the author of Vedanta Sutra himself has explained the Vedanta Sutras in his commentary, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, the last question. What is the ultimate purpose of the Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra, and Srimad Bhagavatam? What is the ultimate purpose
To
of
attain
all
the love
these
of
Vedic?
Godhead.
Yeah, the ultimate purpose is teaching devotional service and revival of love of God, love of Godhead. Teaching devotional service and revival of love of God. So, with that, we come to the end of today's reading session. Thank you so much for joining. We shall continue to read from this book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, in the next session. Please do join us. Thank you very much. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Vishwa Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.